My wife begged me to come home from my business trip. After 3 weeks in Singapore, chasing deals and running on 4 hours of sleep, I was finally about to catch some rest. But then I got her message. "Babe, please. I need you home. I miss you." She added a voice note. Her tone cracked, fake panic layered with syrup. Like a damn actress auditioning for a role she already lost. I booked the first flight home. 7 hours cramped in coach next to a guy who smelled like garlic and wore sunglasses at night. The whole time, I kept thinking, maybe she's pregnant, maybe someone died, maybe she just missed me for real. Fool. When I finally landed at JFK, it was nearly midnight. I grabbed a cab, paid extra for the driver to skip red lights, and texted her I was on my way. No reply. I opened our front door and immediately tripped over a dog toy. That's when I saw it. The note. "Hey babe. So glad you're back. Tiff and I had this spa trip booked forever and it's non-refundable. Can you watch Bentley for the weekend? You're the best. Love ya. Jess." That's it. No, thank you for flying across the world. No hug, no kiss, not even a warm plate of food. Just a sticky note and a barking French bulldog. I didn't argue. I didn't call her. I didn't even frown. I just smiled. I fed the damn dog, poured myself a whiskey, and sat in the living room surrounded by silence that screamed louder than any argument we'd ever had. 3 days passed. She and her sister Tiffany were off the grid, luxury villa in Tulum, judging by the geotag stories Tiff forgot to block me from seeing. Sunsets. Poolside margaritas. Shirtless dudes in the background. One of them had his hand too close to Jess's thigh in a photo. I zoomed in. His bracelet looked familiar. And then it hit me. Last Christmas, I saw that exact leather cuff on my wife's coworker, Ryan. The gay best friend, who wore cologne stronger than mine and laughed too loud at Jess's jokes. Yeah, that Ryan. Still, I stayed cool. I cleaned the house. Walked Bentley. Played my part. Until the door opened Sunday evening. They came in laughing, dragging designer luggage, smelling like sunscreen and expensive betrayal. Jess saw me sitting there with a glass of bourbon and a leash in my hand. Her smile dropped. "Why are you sitting there like a psycho?" she muttered, rolling her eyes. "Did Bentley poop on the rug or something?" "No," I said, taking a sip. "But I saw the photos. You left your geoag on. And your little coworker forgot to hide his bracelet." Jess froze. Tiffany dropped her purse and tried to speak, but I raised a hand. "Nah, let her talk." Jess stepped forward, suddenly defensive. "Are you serious right now? You flew home early. I gave you one simple task. Watch the dog. And now you're accusing me of what? Of being unfaithful because I took a picture with someone?" "I didn't say anything about being unfaithful," I said quietly. "You just did." Silence. Her jaw clenched. She looked down, then back at me with narrowed eyes. "You're acting insane. Ryan's gay. Remember? We've been friends forever." "Cool. Then maybe his boyfriend won't mind the videos." Her face turned white. I pulled out my phone. "Ring camera, Jess." It caught him sneaking in last month while I was still overseas. Different outfits. Different days. Always after 10 p.m. Always leaving before sunrise. Tiffany took a step back like she was about to be sick. Jess went ballistic. "You're spying on me now? That's what this is? Wow, you're so insecure it's pathetic." "No," I said, setting the phone down calmly. "I'm just not stupid anymore." Her voice rose. "So what? I needed comfort. You're always gone. Always working. You chose your job over me. And you chose his bracelet over your vows." Her scream was sharp enough to startle Bentley. But I didn't move. I just smiled the same way I did when I walked in and saw that note. Because what they didn't know was that while they were sipping cocktails, I was meeting with my lawyer. And when I handed Jess the envelope from the table behind me, her hands shook. "What is this?" "Pre-divorce proposal. You get to keep your clothes, your fake friends, and the dog. I'll take everything else." Tiffany gasped. Jess ripped open the envelope, scanned the top page, and looked at me like she'd never seen me before. "Are you serious right now?" "Dead." She lunged forward and slapped the bourbon from my hand. I stood. "You left me to dog sit while you were with another man in another country. This is the least you deserve." I walked past her, up the stairs, locked the door behind me, and smiled. Because the screaming started the moment she saw what I left on the living room table next to the envelope. The bracelet. Still warm. Bentley barked like hell as the screaming downstairs got louder. I sat on the bed, staring at the floor, hearing every curse word Jess threw into the air like daggers aimed at a ghost she couldn't touch. I didn't yell back. Didn't need to. The silence was louder than her tantrum. That's the thing about liars. They unravel when they realize they've lost the ability to manipulate you. My phone buzzed. Tiffany, please, let's talk before you do something crazy. I almost laughed. Something crazy? Like what? Flying 7 hours home just to watch their damn dog while they played footsie with a walking cologne ad. I didn't reply. The footsteps came thundering up the stairs. She tried the handle. Locked. Open the door. Nate. You can't end everything like this. Everything ended the moment you lied to my face, Jess, I said calmly through the door. The rest is just cleanup. Silence. Then, you don't even care about this marriage. You didn't even try to fight for me. Oh, I tried, I said, standing up. I fought for us every day. I was out there breaking my back to give you this house, those vacations, that dog you bought just for Instagram. You fought to keep a lie going. She didn't respond. I heard her walk away. I waited 10 minutes, grabbed my laptop from the safe, and started transferring everything to his separate drive, bank details, business contracts, legal access. She thought she was smart, that I'd be just another tired husband too busy to notice his wife morphing into a stranger. She didn't know that I had already been preparing for this moment the last time I came home and found her phone face down, brightness turned off, Bluetooth left on by accident, and my car's system picked up Ryan's iPhone at 11:48 p.m. That was a month ago. Since then, every smile I gave her was fake. Every kiss was a placeholder. And every second I was away was used to gather every breadcrumb she didn't bother hiding. When I came downstairs the next morning, Tiffany was gone. Just sat at the kitchen counter, wearing my hoodie like it meant something, eyes puffy but fake as always. She held coffee. For you, she said quietly, sliding it toward me. I looked at it. Didn't touch it. Is this how you think it works? You make a latte and we're even. She flinched. I made mistakes, she said. But you were never here. You forgot who I was. No, I said. I finally remembered who I am. I sat across from her. For the first time in months, I looked her dead in the eyes and didn't feel anything. Not rage. Not sadness. Just clarity. I loved you, Jess, I said. More than I should have. Enough to miss red flags on purpose. Enough to believe every lie you wrapped in a pout. But I'm done being the fool in your little story. I didn't mean to fall for him, she said quickly. It just happened. That was the worst part. She said it like it was a spilled drink. An accident. I want to work on this, she whispered. We can do therapy. Take time off. Go away for a while. You already did go away, remember? I said. Without me. She started to cry. It didn't work this time. You didn't cry when you were with him, I said. You didn't cry when you left that note. You didn't cry when you posted photos with your sunglasses, your champagne, and your perfect little fake life. Now she was sobbing. I stood and pushed the untouched coffee back toward her. You're going to need that more than I do. That day, I didn't go to the office. I went to a hotel across town. Nice place. Big windows. Quiet. I called my lawyer. Froze joint accounts. Set up a new one. Took a walk around the block and let the sun hit my face like I hadn't seen it in years. That night, she blew up my phone. Voicemails. Messages. One even said, "You're breaking my heart." I didn't listen. I let them pile up like snow on a windshield. Just enough to blur the view, but never stop the drive. Funny thing is, the silence I once feared became my closest friend. And she? She just became a noise I finally turned off. 3 days later, she showed up at my office. I was mid-meeting with my business partner, Greg, when my assistant buzzed in. Jessica's here. She says it's urgent. Greg raised an eyebrow. I just nodded. Give me 5, I told him, then walked to the front lobby. There she was. Lipstick perfect. Hair curled. Dressed like she was walking into a courtroom. Not a man's life she burned to the ground. She always did know how to dress for her audience. Nate, she breathed out, stepping closer. Can we talk in private? I said nothing. Just gestured her to follow me into the empty conference room. She didn't sit. Just stood there, clenching her fingers like she didn't know what to do with them. Like this wasn't her mess. Like she had somehow just arrived here by mistake. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I've been thinking about us, about everything, she started. I crossed my arms and leaned back against the glass wall. She took a step forward. I was stupid, Nate. I was selfish. But it wasn't what you think. It wasn't about you. I laughed, short and dry. Of course it wasn't. That's the most honest thing you've said in months. She flinched, then tried again. It didn't mean anything. I felt lonely. I felt forgotten. You felt I snapped, stepping closer, while I was out there bleeding myself dry for us. You felt like you needed someone inside our home, in our bed, while I was out fixing our future. Her eyes welled up again, and I hated how she still used tears as tools. It was a mistake. No. Dropping a glass is a mistake. Leaving the stove on is a mistake. You chose this. Again and again. She didn't deny it this time. Didn't even try. Why Ryan? I asked. Of all people. She blinked fast, like she was stalling her brain. He made me feel seen. He listened. I shook my head slowly, disgust tightening my chest. And I didn't? She didn't answer. I turned, walking to the door. Nate, wait, she called out, voice cracking now. Not with fake emotion, but something that sounded real. Desperate. I paused, but I didn't turn around. You broke the part of me that still wanted to protect you, I said. That part's gone. I left her there, just standing in the middle of that sterile room, silent like a dropped call. That night, I got a text from Tiffany. I had no idea. Nate, I'm so sorry. I thought she was just blowing off steam on that trip. I didn't know about Ryan. I swear. I didn't answer. Not because I didn't believe her. I just didn't care anymore. There's something that happens after betrayal that no one tells you about. You don't explode. You don't fall apart. You just shift. Quietly. Permanently. I moved out completely 2 days later. My lawyer sent her the final draft. No back and forth. No begging. Just terms. Cold. Simple. Final. She called me 3 times that night. The 4th time, I picked up. I miss you, she said immediately. I miss us. I keep waking up expecting you to be there. Yeah, I said. I used to wake up hoping you'd still be the woman I married. I guess we're both out of luck. She went quiet. I almost hung up. I hate myself, she whispered. You should, I said, and ended the call. There was no satisfaction in it. No revenge thrill. Just quiet. A week later, I found a note taped to my door. In her handwriting. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I hope one day you'll remember the good parts. I crumpled it without reading the rest. Because here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. Sometimes, the good parts were never real. They were illusions we built because we needed to believe in something. Love. Loyalty. Home. She gave me none of those. Just a leash, a note, and lies dressed in perfume. And me? I gave her everything. Never again. 2 months passed. I thought it would hurt longer. I thought the nights would drag and the memories would haunt every breath. But instead, it was like I had finally taken off a jacket soaked in gasoline, just seconds before it caught fire. My days got quieter. Calmer. I stopped checking her socials. Blocked her number. Erased the cloud drive where I'd stored the photos and messages. Some men keep the evidence like scars. Me? I burned it all. Let the ash carry the weight. Then, out of nowhere, Ryan showed up. It was a Thursday. I was grabbing coffee at the shop around the corner, just like always. There was a line, but I didn't care. The sun was out. My phone was silent. My world, for once, felt like it belonged to me. I heard his voice before I saw him. Nate. I turned. He looked pathetic. That smug confidence I remembered? Gone. His hair was a mess, lips dry, face drawn like he hadn't slept in a week. Can we talk? He asked, eyes darting around like he expected me to swing. I just stared. She told me you knew everything, he said, his voice low. I didn't plan for it to go that far. I took a step forward. Let me get this straight, I said calmly. You snuck into my house while I was gone, screwed my wife under my roof, used my towels, drank my whiskey, probably laid your head on my damn pillow, and now you want to tell me it went too far. He flinched. I didn't stop. You think this is guilt? Regret? You're just scared because she dumped you. His silence was all the confirmation I needed. She kicked you out, didn't she? He nodded, slowly. She found someone new already? He nodded again. And I smiled. Just a little. Now you get it, I said. She doesn't love anyone. She just uses people until they're empty. He looked like he wanted to cry. Good. Let him carry some of that weight. I didn't punch him. Didn't curse. Didn't even raise my voice. I just leaned in close enough for only him to hear. She begged me to forgive her. But I didn't. You know why? He shook his head. Because she looked me in the eyes with the same face she used to lie. And I can't love a mask. Then I turned and walked out without my coffee. That weekend, she tried again. New number. New tone. Nate, please. I'm not okay. I didn't respond. But she didn't give up. The next morning, she was outside my building, sitting on the hood of her car like a scene from a teenage drama. I walked right past her. "Nate, please," she shouted, following me. "You think I haven't suffered? I lost everything too." "No," I said, not even looking back. "You lost control. That's not the same thing." She grabbed my arm. I pulled away. "You don't get to touch me anymore." "You loved me once," she said, voice cracking. "I buried that man," I said, "right next to the version of you I thought was real." That stopped her cold. She didn't chase me anymore after that. Weeks passed. Fall crept in. The leaves outside my apartment turned gold and red, like the world was shedding its skin right alongside me. I slept better. Ate better. Hell, I even laughed again. The man I saw in the mirror started looking familiar. Not the guy she tried to rewrite. The guy I used to be. One night, I got a text from Greg. "Bar night. You in?" I hesitated. Then I wrote, "Yeah, let's go." The bar was loud, warm, filled with strangers and clinking glasses. I didn't tell anyone what had happened. I just sipped my drink, listened to the music, and for the first time in months, maybe longer, I felt light. A woman at the bar smiled at me. I smiled back. Not because I was ready, not because I was healed, but because I finally remembered that I could. And that was enough. The next morning, I woke up without a hangover for once. Just sunlight spilling through the blinds and a weird kind of peace in my chest. Not happiness, not yet, but peace. Like I'd survived a storm that was meant to drown me, and now I was just standing on the shore, soaked and scarred, but alive. There was a letter at my door. No envelope. Just folded paper, tucked under the mat. I didn't need to read the handwriting to know who it was from. I stared at it for a full minute before picking it up. Part of me wanted to throw it away unopened, but another part, the stubborn part, wanted to see just how far she'd go this time. The paper smelled like her perfume. Cheap move. I unfolded it. "You may hate me forever. I wouldn't blame you. But I need you to know the truth. Ryan wasn't the first. He wasn't even the last. I thought I could stop. I thought I'd feel something: guilt, fear, regret. I didn't. Not until you stopped looking at me like I was worth saving. I never deserved you. But I kept you anyway. I guess I liked the way you made me feel like I wasn't broken. But I am, Nate. And now I have to live with what I've done. You'll move on. I know you will. Just don't let what I did kill the good in you. Because you were always the good one." It wasn't an apology. Not really. It was a confession. A rotten little obituary for the version of her I used to believe in. I read it once. Then I lit a match. Watched the edges curl and blacken, flame kissing every lie until nothing was left but ash on my fingers. That night, I packed up the last box from storage. There was an old photo album at the bottom, our honeymoon. I almost tossed it. Almost. But I opened it. She was smiling in every photo. Fake. But it fooled me then. Her arm around my waist, her hand in mine, leaning into me like I was her safe place. I stared at one picture longer than the rest, us on the beach, sunset behind us, her eyes looking into the camera like she owned the world. I pulled it out and flipped it over. On the back, in her handwriting, "Forever starts today." I burned that too. The next weekend, I drove to my parents' place. They didn't ask questions. Just hugged me tight and fed me like I hadn't eaten in months. My mom looked at me the way moms do, like she knew everything without needing a single word. "I'm proud of you," she said that night, as I sat on the porch with her. "For what?" "For not letting her destroy you." I didn't answer, because part of me still wasn't sure if that was true. But hearing her say it helped. A week later, I got a call from Greg again. He said he had someone he wanted me to meet. "No blind dates," I groaned. "It's not a date. Just a conversation. She's cool. Went through some stuff too." I thought about it. About how much I hated the idea of starting over. Of risking that again. But then I remembered something Jess said in her note. "Don't let what I did kill the good in you." Screw her. But not the message. So I said yes. We met at a bookstore cafe. Neutral ground. Public. No pressure. Her name was Emily. Sharp eyes. Kind smile. Witty as hell. The kind of person who didn't ask surface-level questions. She actually listened. And she didn't try to impress me. She was just real. We talked about travel, work, bad first dates, books we never finished. No mention of exes. No need. As I walked her to her car that night, she smiled. "Thanks," she said. "That was better than I expected." "Same," I replied. She got in and drove off. No promises. No expectations. Just a moment. And that was enough. For now. The days started to feel normal again. Not the old normal, The one where I pretended everything was fine while she was sneaking around behind my back. But a new kind. Solid. Real. I'd wake up, make coffee, go to work, answer emails, breathe. It sounds basic, but when your world's been flipped and shattered, boring is a luxury. Emily texted me a few days later. You left your bookmark in the Hemingway book. I stole it. Come get it. I smiled. Not because of the bookmark, but because someone remembered something small about me. No strings. No manipulation. Just thoughtfulness. We met again. Same place. Same easy rhythm. This time, we talked about pain without saying the word out loud. She told me her ex ghosted her after 4 years. Just walked out. No closure. Left a note that said, "Don't try to find me." I told her I wasn't ghosted, but maybe I wished I had been. At least then, I wouldn't have wasted so much time trying to fix someone who didn't want to be whole. We didn't touch. Didn't flirt. We just were. It felt safe. I hadn't felt safe in a long time. That night, back home, I found one last box I hadn't opened since moving out. Inside were the wedding photos. Not the framed ones, those were long gone, but the raw copies, hundreds of them on a USB stick she'd made me because she said she liked having backups. I should have thrown it out, but I opened it. There was one picture that stopped me cold. Us, right after the vows. She had tears in her eyes, and I looked at her like she was my entire world. And maybe that's the part that stung the most. Not her lies, not the affair, but the fact that back then, I would have walked through fire for her. And she was already holding the matchbook behind her back. I didn't cry. I deleted them. Every single one. Not out of hate. Out of peace. Like clearing space for something that actually deserves to live there. A few nights later, Emily invited me to a small gathering. Nothing wild. Just a few friends, food, drinks, quiet music. I almost said no, but I went. And somewhere between stories and laughter, someone asked how long Emily and I had known each other. I started to say, just a few weeks, but she cut in with a grin and said, long enough. I looked at her. She smiled like she meant it. And for the first time in a long, long time, I didn't feel like I had to brace for impact. I left that night feeling lighter. Later, back home, I poured myself a drink, just one, and sat on the balcony. It was cold out, but clear, quiet. I thought about Jess, not with anger, just as a chapter that ended the moment she let someone else into our story. And I thought about the man I used to be, so desperate to hold things together, even when the pieces were made of lies. I wasn't that man anymore. That night, I wrote something in my notes app. Just for me. You won't always get the apology. You won't always understand why. But if you survive it, you get something better: clarity. And if you're lucky, maybe even peace. I looked up at the stars. And for once, I didn't feel small. I felt free. A few months later, I found myself standing in front of the mirror, buttoning a clean white shirt. Not for a wedding. Not for court. Just for a regular Thursday dinner. Emily had made reservations at a quiet place near the water. She said she wanted to celebrate something, even if it was just surviving the week. I liked that about her. She didn't wait for grand moments to be present. She made them. As I looked at myself, I saw someone different than the man who first came home to that note. Not bitter. Not broken. Just rebuilt. Piece by honest piece. Jess had reached out a few more times. Her numbers changed. Her emails slipped past my filters. One message even said she was ready to be better. But I never responded. Because closure doesn't come from the person who broke you. It comes when you realize you don't need their version of the story anymore. You have your own. One you survived. One you own. Dinner with Emily was easy. The way it should have always been. We talked, we laughed, and when the server brought out the dessert, she leaned in and said, "You seem lighter lately." "Yeah," I said. "I feel it." What changed? I stopped carrying things that weren't mine. She smiled at that. Quietly. Like she understood more than she let on. After dinner, we walked by the water. Cold air, city lights reflecting in the ripples. She slipped her hand into mine. I didn't pull away. Not because I was healed, but because healing doesn't mean the scars vanish. It means they stop bleeding. It means you can live with them and still reach for something new. Something better. Something honest. We stopped on the bridge. She looked over the edge, into the dark. "Do you ever think about what you would have done differently?" she asked. I thought for a moment. "No," I said. "Because everything I went through taught me who I'll never be again." "That's worth something." She nodded. And then she looked at me, not like Jess used to, with calculation behind the lashes, but open. Soft. Real. "You're not afraid to trust again?" she asked. "I am," I admitted. "But I'm more afraid of letting someone else's lies keep me from something honest." She squeezed my hand. We stood there for a long time. No noise. No past. No pressure. Just now. So here's what I've learned. If you're reading this because you're in the middle of that storm, because someone lied to you, used you, betrayed everything you built together, here's the truth. You won't break. You'll bend. Yeah. You'll lose sleep. You'll scream into your hands in parking lots and scroll through old photos wondering how the hell someone you loved so much became a stranger. But one day, the silence won't hurt. One day, her name will mean nothing more than a caution sign. One day, you'll stop checking the door, stop guessing the truth, stop asking why me. And instead, you'll ask, what's next? Because the people who tear you down don't deserve to shape what rises from the wreckage. Only you get to do that. So take your time. Then take your life back. I did. And it was the best damn thing I ever did.